I'll try to pull off the Mick Jagger impersonation at the next show for people. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to WNC Original Music, episode 118, the Singapore Emergency episode. This week, the podcast features Andrew Scotchie of Andrew Scotchie and the River Rats. We're going to be talking about a couple of his recent releases. Mainly, we're going to be talking about their live album, which just came out April 16th, and you can get it now at andrewscotchiemusic.com. You can also find it at the streaming sites and just anywhere that you can get music online. The EP is called Live from a Distance, and we'll have links to it also in the show notes. You're going to be hearing some excerpts from that on this episode, as well as a couple of other recent releases in the past few months. This is being recorded in mid-April 2021, so if you're hearing it around that time, make sure to check Andrew's website for information on a couple of upcoming shows, including the Coda Music Festival, which is at Montreat College in Montreat, North Carolina, and they also have a show coming up at the Orange Peel in Asheville, North Carolina. Both should be great shows, as you're going to hear from the live music you are about to experience right now. Here are Andrew Scotchie and the River Rats.
Can rule my everyday, bend me and break me in fashionable ways. I've been down there, I felt that too. What I want is some of that fashionable truth. How about you? Yeah, I want some truth. I think you need it too. I think you need it too. People can make you feel so low, who love you and leave you when you got nowhere to go. I've been down there, I love their view. What I want is some of that fashionable truth. How about you? Oh baby, how about you? Go boys, go! Keith Harry on the bass guitar, come on!
Funny Money. That's actually an older song. That's one of the songs that got written in late 2015 after we'd put out the We All Stay Hungry album. It had never been recorded as a demo. It had never really been captured live, but it was a song that we like to play live. And I remember as we were going into the pre-production for Everyone Everywhere, I had it in my back pocket and I brought it to the band. I was like, hey, I think this is a really good representation of the hard driving funk sound that we have all, really grown to like. And, we also grew up loving stuff like that too. Something with a really good groove. And I always have just found, our relationship as human beings to money really interesting, and how you grow up with this concept in your head of it, and then how it just changes over the course of time. And like as you get older, your like ideal amount of money, or like your perception of wealth or being successful, it changes a lot. And it also, like funny money, like the subject matter kind of pertains to the music industry as well, and how it's not your typical, it's far from your typical 9 to 5. Everyone knows that. And you have good weeks, you have bad weeks. There's not a lot that's guaranteed. And the first line, funny how money can rule my everyday, bend me and break me in fashionable ways. And all that it really is talking about is how we've kind of made it like totally socially acceptable to be ruled by money. Like it's just a very common thing now. And with consumerism and like wanting things, and like we're constantly inundated with products and advertising and everything like that. And I guess part of it to me has always been funny. So like I kind of had that idea in my head, and it grew from that guitar riff. And for all the guitar nerds out there, it starts in B. And it's just a statement, about how I feel. Growing up, I was, I guess my family was kind of middle class. My dad worked his ass off every day, but he also knew how to play. He also knew how to enjoy his time with his family, and he always demonstrated that. And like he definitely put in my head at an early age, work hard. And you'll have enough money to, do what you want to do. And I always admired that. But he also had the side of him that was very much so like, yeah, money's great, but at the same time, it doesn't, it's not going to make you happy. You have to make you happy, and that you have to make sure that the people around you are genuine, good-hearted people, because that really is success. Like you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not happy, and if you don't have people around you that are in your corner, going to bat for you, then, what's it for? So it kind of is all rolled into that idea.
There's an interesting thing I think that happens with musicians where, if you're not successful, like monetarily, and that's based on, like really how popular you are, the same thing. But if you're not popular at all, you don't get a whole lot of respect. As you get more popular, you get respect, as you get more, you make more money, sell more records, you get more respect, until you get super popular, super rich, then you don't get much respect. Like if you become too big as a musician, like a really, like
selling out.
Yeah, you're like selling out and doing all this kind of stuff. So it's like the people that care, that are like you're talking about, that value money, are really watching that with artists. They're like, okay, you can get a little big, but not too big, or we don't much care for that.
I totally know what you're saying, and I think that on that subject, and in my mind, I'm like, man, it all depends on how you treat people, how you treat people, how you give back to your community, and everything like that. Yeah. And one of the lines in Funny Money is, "I want some fashionable truth," and like to me, that was my way of saying like I want people to love. Or in an ideal world, it'd be nice if people loved genuine people as much as they love money and things and everything like that. What if that was currency, But I have a tendency to dream up things that don't necessarily work in the real world. So
that's a good quality to have. Well, frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, it works most of the time. Yeah.
Seasons, they drown in my eyes. I'm kinda jealous when the birds fly. Sometimes it feels like we're sailing alone, floating backwards, eye of the storm, and it's cold. There's something in the air I really can't deny. We're not that much different, you and I. However divided the video might show, I guess it's somewhere between. Think kinds of crazy, but I say what I mean. Just ask the question, the answer for you is yeah, I'm human too. I'm human too. I'm feeling heavy tonight. The photographs fade, the memories never die. She's sleeping with stars tonight. So free, beautiful, free, my sunshine. There's something in the air I really can't deny. We're not that much different, you and I. However divided on a TV show, I guess I'm somewhere between. Think kinds of crazy, but I say what I mean. Just ask the question, the answer for you is yeah, I'm human too. Oh yeah, I'm human too. Oh no. Well, there's something in the air I really can't deny. We're not that much different, you and I. However divided the media might show. Whoa, no, I guess I'm somewhere between. Think kinds of crazy, but I say what I mean. Just ask the question, the answer for you is yeah, I'm human too. I guess I'm somewhere between. Think kinds of crazy, but I say what I mean. Just ask the question, the answer for you is yeah, I'm human too. Here we go, baby. Just like you, I'm just like you. Just like you.
Human too. It's funny, that song actually started as a kind of Gary Clark-ish, like modern blues kind of riff, and it was kind of like it was really just a statement saying, you know, here are my flaws, here is what I'm going through. You know, I can be hard to handle sometimes. I can be a little manic. I can be just totally frantic, whatever, but I'm human too. I'm just like you, you know? And it also kind of came down to talking about the current social climate and how there's, like we've all felt it in the past year specifically. I mean, it's been an ongoing thing since, the beginning of time. But I think in the past year, especially with the pandemic, we as Americans, as the world, whatever you want to call it, have been more aware and cognizant of kind of that social divide and how people are not 100% unified all the time. And that was just kind of my way of saying, like, hey, despite differences and despite some very humanistic flaws, we're in this together, and we have a lot more in common than we think we do. And the music actually started in a totally different direction. Like I said, very simple, kind of 4 on the floor kind of thing. And then I didn't like that. I thought it was like, this doesn't sound unique enough. I wanted it to be really different. And then I came up with the opening riff of the song that people hear on the album for Human 2. And I remember I took it to the band, and of course, Matt Williams, who produced and recorded, mixed and mastered Everyone Everywhere, the album, he came to practice, and he really liked that one because it had a very unique balance of like light, happy, pop driven chorus / pre-chorus, but there's like this middle section, which is really the verse, that is kind of dark and, brooding and a little lost, like this questioning a lot of things. So I remember showing it to the band, and we worked on it as a band and put in some stops and everything. And I think that's actually one of my favorite songs on the album, just because it doesn't sound like anything that we've ever recorded as a band. And it kind of took on a really cool its own life within our fan group, people saying like, I'm human too, that became like a hashtag within our group and everything like that. And I thought as we were going through, the hell that we went through, and, we kind of still are going through, as humanity, I thought that song, really helped people. And that's like, that to me, whether it's a song that I write or a song that I hear, that to me is what music is all about, is helping people through, making people feel a little lighter, more unified. Yeah. And it's also just kind of like a tongue in cheek kind of, I'm crazy, just like you, I'm having a hard time just like you, and in the end, I guess it's just a song to unify us through our humanistic flaws, I guess.
That is interesting how you talked about, the past year. And there are things that the things that do bring people together, they can kind of identify with someone about something. You've seen like a lot more, and maybe it's because people have more time, but also it seems like for a lot of people, there's a different attitude that they're going to make things, make their life a little more meaningful, And I mean, you see that like with the most obvious thing is like the Black Lives Matter movement, which in the middle of a pandemic, they had like the largest protests, the largest marches they've ever had, because people thought, this is important, and we need to do something about this. So people, kind of are drawn towards this kind of thing where they identify with someone, especially someone who, like in your case, like probably a lot of your fans don't know you personally. So it's good for them to have
a surprising amount do, actually.
Well, yeah,
a surprising amount do, because like I like talking to people. I really like talking to people, and that's one thing that like I also just like having a connection with people. Like whenever someone buys merchandise or something like that at a show, or even just like throughout the pandemic, if we got random messages like, we know things suck right now, but we hope you guys are doing well.
That's
keep
awesome,
making music. Like if stuff like that happened, I'd be like, "Hi, how are you?" I talk to them. I'm like, "What do you do?" And like, so I made friends through this that I didn't have before.
Great sound. Where was it recorded?
It was recorded at Salvage Station.
Oh, okay.
And on the 30th of October, and that was like our hometown Halloween show. And Eric Reynolds at the Salvage Station recorded it, and then we took the audio files to Matt Williams, who's done our other records at the Eagle Room, and he just he picked it all apart. And, you know, he gave us the options, you know, of like which songs you want, which are like, which are great, you know. And part of me wanted to put the whole fucking record or the whole performance out there, and then the other part of me was like, no, let's save a little bit, you know, let's not like give like the whole show away. So that was the intention for putting just 4 songs out there. And there's a song on there, it's like 11 minutes long.
Y'all please make some noise for our friend Joshua Cavender on the keys.
Lonely Days. So that one actually, that's probably the oldest or one of the oldest songs that we still have in our live lineup. It didn't get recorded on a record, like a studio album, until 2018 on the Family Dynamo album. But we've been playing it live. The band has been playing it live since like 2013 or something like that. And it's gone through several different versions. And it was actually recorded at UNCA. We have a demo from UNCA Studios. I guess it's fresh in my mind because I just rode my bike through UNCA. But we recorded it at this like student-run studios in 2013 at UNCA, and it was one of the first demos that we ever made there. And it gave us a really good idea of how we can incorporate rock and funk and psychedelic music into one track. And over time, playing it live, it grew into this. It became the longest song like of our set. I think it still is. And the live album that's coming out, the live EP, Live from a Distance, it's the closing track because it's 11 minutes long. And, if there was like a quote unquote, like what's your free bird, like in your set list, like that's, I don't know, like as dorky as that sounds, but I also grew up loving Skinner, so I don't care. That would probably be the song. And it's really just about coming out of a dark time in your head, like coming out of spring, for example. Now we're in spring, it's almost April. It's kind of like that feeling that you have when you're coming out of the winter and you've learned all these things and you're like, you know what, I felt like garbage, or I felt lonely. Maybe that person went through a breakup. Maybe I lost somebody. Maybe somebody died and I never get to see them again. Maybe someone moved away, and you have that trauma. You're going through that trauma, but you see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's what the song is about. It's about getting better, and it's about holding on to hope and pushing on. Music did that for me growing up. Like almost every time I turned something on. So naturally that's kind of like a pattern, or is kind of like a go-to for me when it comes to songwriting. Is I, as an individual, want to feel better after I write something. I also want the people listening to feel better and to feel like, hey, you got this, you're going to be okay. And, just putting, those lonely feelings behind you, acknowledging them, and being like, this is what makes me me, this is part of my story and everything, but like, I've got to move on and things are going to get better. So that really probably in a nutshell is what that one's about. And that is, it's also just a fun, riff driven song. On the Family Dynamo album, you hear a horn section behind the riff, but on this live EP that's coming out, it's just organ synthesizer from Josh Cavender and the power trio, Logan, Keith, and I. And there's just some moments. I mean, like this track that we're talking about is one of the main reasons that I wanted to put out this live EP, is because you listen to it from we just call it the jam section to like the very end, which is like almost 7 minutes of just like, things rising and falling and each person kind of trading licks and everything like that. It's really kind of, it comes down to the core of being in a band, like whenever you're in a band, and especially in the live setting, you want to be able to read each other. You want to be able to, like musically converse with each other, like whenever people come and see us live, like a lot of people see me and Keith, like constantly like looking at each other and like trading legs at each other, just, fucking with each other and stuff like that. So like, it's fun to like try new things on the spot. And with this track in particular, there's things that we could never replicate. And it's interesting because Logan has only been with the band on drums for a year. So this past February was a year. And by the time that we recorded this live EP, it was recorded the 30th of October. And that was like the third or fourth show that he had done with us or something like that. I mean, that's not a lot at all. And it really speaks to his level of playing and how he's taken our dynamics and just brought it to a new level. I absolutely love every drummer that has either recorded with us, toured with us, and I appreciate the foundation that they laid down, specifically Eliza Hill. But there's some moments on this live EP that are just really special, and you can actually kind of hear us working with each other and trying new things that we had never tried before, because it's like it's like less than 5 times that we've been on stage together because of the pandemic. We had all these dates. It's like, every other working band, and we couldn't do it.
It doesn't sound like someone who's only played with you 5 times. It sounds very tight.
We wanted to pull some things out because, like for example, whenever you get a live audio recording from a show, it's typically in a wave audio format, and it's just one track.
Yeah, and
to my knowledge, you're hearing kind of what people are hearing out front. So, or maybe even like it's kind of on stage. I guess it can vary, but the point is, after you get that file, you have to pull some things out, and you have to pull some frequencies out and everything to really enhance the experience and make it to where people listen to it on their their headphones, earbuds, or on their phone.
Right.
Unfortunately, most people are probably going to listen to it on their phone.
Right. Maybe an
I'm
iPad,
old school in that way. I'm like, I hope people listen to it on their stereo and like, ooh, that bass is really coming through. Yeah. But it won't happen. Or it'll happen with the right people.
Maybe through their, probably the best way is through their phone, on their phone, but through their car speakers.
Yes. And I'm a fan of listening in the car. I'm a huge fan of listening in the car. I actually listened to this live EP in the car a lot. And it's funny because I drove over to Logan's house and I showed him the live mixes. We're sitting in my car, and I actually I played Lonely Days for him, and he's like, man, this is really cool. I don't remember actively thinking about doing this at all. It was just like this fun, spontaneous thing. And it was also a hard time of year. We were all kind of going through some stuff, like the coming of winter was there. Election day was about to happen. There were a lot of things going on in the world. And I think that what comes through the hardest or what comes through the strongest is a very cathartic experience. And I think that that's always been at the core of River Rat shows is you feel that release, and it's just you almost want to be exhausted afterwards. That's how I want to feel. At least I want to feel like a limp noodle afterwards. I just want to pass out,
right?
And go to sleep. But
when you have a live song like this that has that long, instrumental break, how are you practicing that long, or are you just kind of saying, okay, now right here we're going to have an instrumental break, and we'll practice some, but also we don't want to over practice something that's supposed to be spontaneous. So are you thinking, okay, we'll keep it 3 minutes here, but on the day we'll go 10 minutes, or that sort of thing. How are you working that out?
We definitely rehearse, and we don't plan out what we call jam sections. We don't really plan it out, but there are, and specifically this song has grown on the road, meaning we really started to develop the jam section and how we could grow it and just turn it into this big sonic concoction. We started doing that in 2019 whenever we started touring a lot. And specifically on the winter tour we did out west in 2019, I remember when we played in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, we took it on a ride, and that song probably lasted about nine minutes or so. And Keith has been pretty, our bass player has been pretty influential, been very influential with pushing that kind of jam mentality, but not noodle until and forever, because that to us kind of gets old. We're not giant jam band fans. I think of this band more punk rock before I do like a jam band. But we also like certain aspects of it, and we like the spontaneity, and we like the musicianship of that. I really like Humphreys McGee and bands like Galactic and stuff like that. I know Keith does too. But he definitely grew up more on kind of like the jam scene kind of bands and stuff like that. He actually was in a band called Deja Fuse that was way more prog rock and instrumental. And anyway, so whenever he joined the band, he was really he was really good about pushing like, okay, let's drop it down right here. And then like, like this subtle thing happens and then maybe we can bump it up a half a step. So all of that started to come in pretty strong in 2019. And yeah, like we talk about it at rehearsal, yeah, let's take it up maybe a half step here. Or just, let's take that guitar solo and shorten it a little bit, and it also kind of depends on, how much time we have, and we don't want to ever lose the audience. So we're also feeding off of the audience, like meaning if we don't think they're feeling it, we're not going to go 11 minutes, on a song. Yeah. So if we feel like
that never happens, does it?
No. Like thank God it hasn't happened yet. We as far as our songs go, like there's a good mix of quick, fun, pop, rock, funk songs, and then there's like psychedelic, kind of the world's turning upside down, stuff like that. And that's just because we love all kinds of music. But yeah, with something like Lonely Days, you more so go into it with like a framework in mind, and then you're like, we don't know what's gonna happen. And I think that people can really hear that. There's actually one section where Josh, who makes a guest appearance on synth in Oregon, he's tripping out. It sounds like spiders are just like crawling out of his ears and stuff like that. I mean, like it's spooky. And anyway, that starts to happen. I remember I walked over to Keith and I was like, bump this up half a step. And we didn't tell Logan. And Logan, granted, like, he's not playing notes or anything. He's keeping the rhythm and the beat going, but he did this fill right into it to where it sounded so planned. And again, that speaks to his character as a musician and how he listens. And I think it's just a really fun thing. And like I said earlier, like there's moments on that one track in particular that we could never replicate either in the studio or live. I mean, sure, there might be some moments at our next show that are, kind of based off of what we did at that show, but you can't ever get the same thing. And that's another thing. Like we don't want each show to be the same. Right. Each show needs to be different. And that's another reason I'm only putting out 4 tracks from that show is because each show is so different. And like, sometimes we have new originals, new covers, and just want to keep it short and punchy and to the point.
More from Andrew Scotchie of Andrew Scotchie and the Riverettes in just a few moments. Want to remind you to go and stream or download his new album. It's called Live from a Distance, and it was recorded at the Salvage Station in Asheville, North Carolina. You might notice some of the songs are fading out. That's because I'm not playing the whole thing on this episode. Some of the songs in the live versions, like Andrew has mentioned, do go on for a while, but they don't get repetitive. You'll hear a lot of interesting changes there in the music, even during the instrumental sections. So make sure to visit Andrew's webpage. That's andrewscotchiemusic.com, and also follow him on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those places. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Just search WNC Original Music. It is available wherever you get podcasts. Also, you can visit WNCoriginalmusic.com. And also make sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram for extras, and join our group. That's Western NC Original Music. And there you'll have stuff from the podcast, but also lots of other Western North Carolina musicians sharing their music there as well.
Hey, this is Marshall from Baneful Town, and you're listening to WNC Original Music.
All right, a new feature we're doing on the podcast here. I just started doing this a couple months ago. None of them have aired yet. We're going to play a contest.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and they're dumb questions, sort of dumb. And the prize is from one of our previous guests, Charles Latham and the Borrowed Band. He's going to donate a T-shirt if you win this contest. Yeah.
Love shirts.
All right. I'm going to name 5 songs. You got to get 4 out of 5 right. I'm going to name 5 songs. Probably heard all of them. And you have to guess who wrote it.
Okay.
And I'll give you 3 choices. I'll let you see if you know it first. But first one's probably the easiest one, which is "I Will Always Love You," the song by Whitney Houston.
Oh man.
I'll give you the three choices. I felt like you might have known that one. I bet you'll kick yourself. Emmylou Harris, Dolly Parton, or Glenn Frey.
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton, right? She wrote. What I heard is that she wrote that song. And,
God bless Dolly. I love Dolly.
She's great. She wrote that song and Jolene on the same day.
Well, that's a very productive day. Go Dolly. Jesus.
I don't know if that's true, but I've heard it several places. Red Red Wine by UB40. Do you remember that song from the 80s? Red Red Wine. Do, do, do. Da, 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 da. You don't remember that song?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, melody's coming back to me.
All right. So they had a hit with it. Was it written by Neil Sedaka, Johnny Cash, or Neil Diamond?
I'm going to guess Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond, correct.
Yeah.
Also,
that seems possible.
Yeah.
That seems really possible, yeah.
His original version was very, because, UB40 made it a sort of reggae song, not sort of reggae song, reggae song. But Neil Diamond liked it so much, and I think he liked that it was a hit too. He started doing their arrangement in his concerts. So he would do it like UB40 did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right, you're 2 for 2. You are well on the way to winning that shirt. The Bangles, Manic Monday.
Oh, yeah. Just heard that on the radio the other day.
Yeah. And your choices are Michael Jackson, Michael McDonald from, Michael McDonald from what? Oh, my God.
Doobie Brothers.
Doobie Brothers. Yeah. There you go. Michael Jackson, Michael McDonald, or Prince?
I'm going to guess Prince because, I actually was watching some Prince. Is that right?
Yep. That's
okay.
Right.
Okay. I was watching like a Prince YouTube documentary or something like that, and I think I had heard that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So many songs. Yeah.
He did. Oh my God.
All right,
Batman soundtrack.
Have you heard the song "It's Raining Men"? It's almost like a joke song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was that written by the Thompson Twins, Cole Porter, or Paul Schaefer?
What was the first option? Or the first choice?
The Thompson Twins.
Thompson Twins.
They're from the 80s. They had that song, I Have a Picture.
What are the other two?
Wall. Cole Porter. He's like that songwriter from the 40s, maybe 30s. And Paul Schaefer from David Letterman's band.
I think it's Paul Schaefer.
Paul Schaefer is correct. Wow.
It just seems like something he would do on the down low.
Yeah.
And be like, that's my tune. Yeah.
I just came to me in the shower,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to be a great composer, be able to go bam, 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 bam. There's a pop song for it. There you go.
Right, yeah.
There's all kinds of people like that. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, you already won the T-shirt.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. What's
so
the
just
band?
for fun, number 5 is Pink's Pink, Get the Party Started.
Let's go and start it. No, is that it?
That's I'm coming out, so you better get the party started. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of my theme song. I would be honest with you.
It just plays automatically when you walk into a bar. Yeah.
How did they do that? All right, and I'll tell you the person's name is Linda Perry, but was she in which band was she in? So this is the person who wrote it. Pink didn't write it. Linda Perry wrote it. Linda Perry of the Go-Go's, Four Non-Blondes, or the Pixies.
Oh, man. Go-Go's, Four Non-Blondes, or the Pixies are the options, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Go-Go's.
Oh, no. Four Non-Blondes.
Oh, man. That's so funny. I just heard that song of theirs on the radio the other day.
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah. That's I hear that a lot lately. It's making some kind of comeback for some reason. Maybe it was in a movie or something.
What's going on?
Yeah. Are you making a video for it right now? I like what's going on here.
What's going on?
Well, there's our clip we're going to use.
Real high. Yep.
Yeah. All right. And just a couple of other things real quick. Let me see. Do you have a musical impression that you do?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I got a few.
All right. Let's hear one. Now, the caveat, it can't be, what's his name from Pearl Jam?
Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
Pearl Jam's
that's definitely in the top 5, I think, for people. Oh, shit.
Eddie Vedder. That's who. I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah. Okay, so what we like voice or like moves? Or
Either
like
one, yeah.
If you want to breaking this up,
if you want to do like Morris Day's dance or something. Oh, I just lost your video. Oh, there you're back.
Hold on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's low battery time.
Oh, okay.
Apparently. I need to delete some things on my phone or clear some space.
We got just enough time for this musical impression.
Oh man, you're gonna post this everywhere.
Only if you allow it.
Oh man, so like I remember watching this comedian, what's his name, Jim Brewer, and he was doing one of James Hetfield like at like a nursery school or like doing like a kids thing or something like that. And he's like, wouldn't it be badass if like James Hetfield went into like a school? It's like, come on, children, gather around. Ooh, yeah. Maybe we had a little lamb. The fleece is white as snow. Ooh, yeah. You know, and did that kind of thing. And like that's how he did like children's or like Ozzy Osbourne. London Bridge is falling down. My fair lady. And then I also try to dance like Michael, or not Michael Jackson. No one can dance like Michael Jackson.
You can dance like, let's see it. What you got?
No, I said no. I was thinking of Mick Jagger. I was going to say Mick Jagger. Yeah.
That's good too.
I got to have the music on and everything. That's really that's a huge part of it, man. Like, we're gonna have to save that for another time.
All right,
really, it's yeah.
Can you work it out with the band where you do it on stage sometime and just dedicate it to
I've totally accidentally. I grew up Mick Jagger being one of my, or probably my favorite frontman of all time. So naturally I watched him a lot, and I definitely have my own spastic nature, and quote unquote moves, but I also really pull a lot from frontmen like that, and a lot of front women too.
Get you look at me, it's gotta be like, you're fucking crazy. This song's for those people.
So with Natural Romantic, that one we started playing out in late 2017, early 2018, and it really grew in the live experience because we added this intro to where, and you can hear it on the live EP that's coming out, where me and Keith kind of trade off that tag, and then the band comes in full force. But as far as lyrically and the subject matter, that came to be because I had heard the expression hopeless romantic 1,000 times, either being called it or people just using it. And it always annoyed me. Because I thought that people that were hopeless romantics, as people say, are born that way. They can't help it. So to me, it was just kind of a play on words. And I was like, natural romantic. And then I was like, let's try to put some music to it. And, I grew up listening to this band called the Romantics a lot, and they're known for that song, My Sharona. That's like their biggest hit.
Wait.
I'm sorry, The Knack.
The Knack. Yeah.
Oh man, I did that the other day with my friend. We were talking about that band. I called them the Romantics. He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's not the Romantics. You're thinking of the They there's some similarities,
right.
Anyways, yeah, sorry. Hopefully no one will rake me over the coals for that.
I might even take that. We'll see how entertaining it. I might take it out. We'll see.
Well, I grew up listening to this band called The Knack with my dad a lot, and he had the tape. I think it was Get the Knack, the album Get the Knack.
Yes.
And it had their big hit, My Sharona, and on Otara and Get Me Out or Let Me Out and stuff like that. And I just listened to the album the other day. I love it. Still love it. And anyway, point being, they just had these great hard driving pop, almost punky guitar riffs, and there would be these really fun, stops and everything where there would either be a drum fill or there'd be just there'd be nothing there, and then boom, the vocals would come right back in. I just always loved that growing up, and to me that sounded like a band really working together. Like it's one thing to jam and to be like, like that's one thing that's great. And like we were just talking about with Lonely Days, that is 100% about jamming and just seeing what we can do musically. But I also like when a band is just playing and they're on it together, they're feeling every beat, every note together. And I knew that that's kind of what Natural Romantic had going for it. So I wrote the riff, and like the main line, call me strange, call me frantic, I'm just another strange bird, a natural romantic. And the whole strange bird thing actually originated because I think Eliza called me a strange bird a couple times in a row, and I just thought that was a funny thing, and so I used it. And in the chorus, I don't need no words to let you know how I might be when I'm hanging around your tree. And all that means is I feel like the people that are most genuine in this world, or have the most heart in this world, however you want to classify it, they don't have to talk themselves up. They don't have to spill their guts. They don't have to be like, this is my story and this is why, I hope that you like me and everything like that. Yeah. I think that really good, genuine people are, get along with other people that are, the same way and receptive to those kind of people. So that's what that line's about. And the whole I'll use some tender Southern charm. Nobody sees enough of this. Nobody sees enough of it these days. That's kind of about like growing up in the South, and growing up and like hearing that whole thing, like sweet little country boy kind of stuff, and which I don't sound like I'm from the South most of the time, and my mom's from Yonkers, New York,
oh, that's what it
so
is.
I don't, yeah, so I don't, I am born in the South and everything like that. But yeah, our family is very here, there, and everywhere kind of thing. Immigrants really, like most of America. But point being, yeah, it started as kind of a play on words, and then I had a really fun time writing that riff. And like I said, I've always been a fan of pop driven music, especially with just a couple fun to the point chords, and I didn't really try to overcomplicate it. And we had a blast in the studio with it. Live it's totally different. Live it's guitar, bass, and drums. Boom. Drums started off, but in the studio, you hear Lenny Pettinelli from Empire Strikes Brass was beating the shit out of the piano. And you hear some, Beatles claps and everything like that. And that was definitely an homage to, some of the music that we grew up on, whether it be Beatles-esque or like, 60s surf rock and roll or 50s, rock and roll. And that kind of vintage vibe really got captured. And of course, with the music video, we just kind of went in a goofy direction.
Oh, yeah. That was a great video. Yeah.
Trying to capture that childlike innocence, that we all feel whenever we're, falling for somebody.
Do you have a song or songs that you've, always wanted to play live, or maybe you don't play live, you don't play very much because you haven't been able to kind of settle on a live arrangement that you like?
There's a song off the first album. I call it the first album because it's the first album that got put on Spotify. It's the first album that we toured behind, really toured behind. And the one I'm talking about is We All Stay Hungry from 2015. It's actually our second album. A lot of people don't know that. We put out an album in 2012 called Soul and Sarcasm, which, fun fact, I'm going to re-release in 2022 for the 10-year anniversary of the band putting out music. But anyway, Faith in My Friends is the song. And actually, I think Keith actually mentioned that he'd like to bring this one back as well. It's the first track off of We All Stay Hungry from 2015. And it's just a song about leaning on people whenever you really need them and giving that kind of love right back to them. Not letting the darkness in your mind bring you down. Or hard times bring you down. And anyway, it's just got a fun message and it's really catchy. I like the way that it turned out live, but especially with Logan behind the drums now, who has just a really great, sense of groove and being in the pocket. I feel like we could do it really well and even better.
The sounds that carry you. Hold on, 'cause a change is coming soon. Lives right between our ears. If we feed into our fears, and even if you feel lonely, when this world is unkind,
Well, speaking of the Beatles, Everyone Everywhere, I felt like that feels like it could have just come right off of Sgt. Pepper. I thought,
dude, that's like the sweetest thing I've ever heard about that song.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are massive Beatles fans.
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
especially Keith. Yeah, he's got like so much Beatle paraphernalia at his house. Yeah, man, that one. So, like, really, the whole Everyone Everywhere album came in two different pieces, two different recording sessions. One in the spring of 2019, and then in early 2020, we cut the rest of it. And that song, the title track, Everyone Everywhere, was done. And when I say done, I mean it was written. We knew that it had some potential. We thought it was like that it could be one of our most complex songs in the studio. Mm-hmm. And we knew that we want Matt to do, like a string kind of orchestral arrangement on it, because we grew up loving, bands like the Beatles and stuff like that, and anyway, that was done, and we decided that was going to be the title of the album, but like nothing else was recorded. So in a way, this song, that title track it was like the blanket of the album. It was like everything gets under here, and it really helped give it a unifying message and look, even, with the cover. I would say that one, I actually remember sitting on my kitchen floor, my mom's kitchen floor. I was probably like 16, 17 years old, and I was playing with this riff, and it was like, everyone's got something that they feel they gotta hide, or like something like that. And I remember like hearing that lick one day and just thinking like, oh, that'd be cool if I could kind of play with that. And then I'm also a giant fan, if people haven't figured it out by now, of alliteration. Mm-hmm. And I, given what the world was going through and what we were feeling as people in the world, I just thought that, everyone everywhere, was going through something that was pretty shared. Yeah. Something felt really universal, whether it be joy, pain, or something crazy in between. And the fight for justice, equality, you name it. And Keith actually wrote the bridge section where you hear Matt Williams take a fiddle solo, and he wrote the outro as well. So it was the first time that me and him musically really worked on something. I very vividly remember working on that with him in his old house in the basement. And I showed it to him. I was like, this is what I got. I think it's a really good message. I'm still playing with the verses as far as lyrics a little bit, but I think this, very, and it's almost kind of like a Zeppelin-esque kind of da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da kind of thing. And like, it was just all really new. Like we had never done anything like that as a band. And it was a cool moment to see that kind of writing progressing. And anyway, Keith helped me finish the music. And like I said, that was the first time that had happened. So we felt like that was really cool. And again, it just came down to a unifying message, for example, in the chorus, even when you feel lonely and this world is unkind, call on me. I know you'll find that even when you don't feel like you have anything, nothing at all, you have something, and that's really what it came down to. And I was just kind of raised that way, and I also think that way out of survival. Yeah. Not to go off the deep end or to keep myself from going off the deep end. And I just really I want the best for people, and I want the best for mental health, and I want people to feel like they have a purpose and everything. And yeah, there's a lot of different feelings that went into that song, but really it's just about unity in really strange times.
And you did a project where you had a lot of your fans and just everyone in general send in pictures with them like holding messages saying "everyone everywhere." That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that was just like, and it's crazy to believe that it's like coming up on like, it was like in the spring or summer of 2020, which is like it's going to be spring and summer is going to be here before we know it. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean that was a project that I was like, man, this could make people happy, you know, seeing everyone, you know, in this big heart shape and everything, and being like, hey, we're in this together, you know, I am everyone everywhere, you know, and it's not a us and them kind of thing, it's us together.
Yeah.
And I just really knew that I wanted to see something like that. I knew that other people would probably appreciate something like that, and that was one of the biggest things in early 2020 that pushed me through. As far as being like, man, we got great people on our side. And I still, just to give a shout out to everyone from yourself to our fans in Asheville to Boise to New York City and everywhere in between. Like, really, people were extremely supportive. And
it was just a really, really positive thing just about it that was really, you know. Yeah.
I try to be positive, man. Yeah. We try to make our music as positive as possible. I was joking with my girlfriend the other day. I was like, what if we call our brand of music uplifting rock and roll?
Yeah.
And she was like, kind of sounds like you're like a Christian rock.
I was just thinking Christian rock.
And I was like, oh, we're not that. I mean, like, you know, like each of their own, and, you know, like, go get it. You know, if it does something for you, fantastic, because I grew up that way. But yeah, I think the point is, like, I want people to feel super unified whenever they listen to these songs, and whether it be something from back, you know, 6 years ago that we recorded, or something that is coming out in a month, you know, like music gave that to me, and I want to give it back.
Well, what about positive humanist music? Maybe that sounds a little
positive, humanistic, humanist.
Oh,
email that to me.
I'll get a thesaurus out. We'll work on it.
Yeah, there you go.
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress.
Don't wait. No, don't hesitate. 'Cause a poor man can give what the rich man always takes. Let them build walls and cast their stones, or build them brick by brick and burn their thrones. Together we're stronger. Let us not feed the fear-mongers. Together we're stronger.
We think too much, feel too little.
So take what you can. I found that music is medicine, and it's in our hands. I found that music is medicine, and it's in our hands.
The fate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people.
Together we're stronger. Let us not feed the fear-mongers. Together we're stronger. Let us not feed the fear-mongers. Together we're stronger.
Despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate.
Oh man, that one took its own took a life of its own in 2020. I definitely did not think that song would be as or that it would come out at a time where we were seeing, you know, what we were seeing as a country and as a world or as a planet. That one got written in early 2018. I specifically remember performing it for the first time at a benefit show at the Gray Eagle. It was a friend of mine's mom who was raising money for going through breast cancer. And anyway, I remember playing it. I remember jotting down the lyrics, and I just had that line in my head: "Together we're stronger. Let us not feed the fear mongers." And it was definitely political. It was definitely it was driven from having to see Trump's face on the news way too much, and having to feel that kind of just general sense of you're different, and or this party's different, and this group of people is different, and we're scared of one another. And I also just I saw a lot of violence growing up. My dad was taken because of gun violence and drug abuse, not on his part, because of somebody else that was mentally ill on drugs and, had a lot of fear in their hearts. And it all comes down to as well, fear is the ultimate enemy. So I think that line, "Together we're stronger, let us not feed the fear mongers," if I hadn't have written it, if I didn't write it, then someone else would have, and maybe someone else already did. I hope not, but
probably not.
What I'm saying is something that I know. What I'm saying is it's something that I know a lot of people have felt, and I remember when that line came to me, I was like, this has to happen. This has to be put in a song, and it was a really good time because we were in the midst of Trump's America and seeing a lot of wrong things every day, and feeling that weight. We were feeling that weight, and we had never actually performed that song as a band until we went in the studio. And in fact, it really grew in the studio. There was the original plan was for me to record it by myself, just voice and cigar box. And for those that are curious, it's written on my square cigar box guitar. I call it. It's tuned D, D, A, D. And so it kind of plays. It's like an open, similar to open G tuning if you're a guitar player, and it's really great for slide. You can take a glass or whatever, and you can even take a Bic lighter. Typically I use a Bic lighter for a slide because I keep up with those better than I do an actual slide. Go figure. But anyway. It was originally planned to be the one song in the EP where it's just me and a guitar, because that's how I write a lot of songs, whether it be acoustic or on the cigar box guitar. And we started recording it, and Keith was there, and he laid down this really fun bass swell. And I was like, man, let's give it a look, some more swing, and let's give it a track. Let's build it. And sure enough, I actually got behind the drums. Eliza, I think she wasn't feeling well that day. And so she left, and I was like, well, hey, I'm going to lay down some drums. She's like, go for it. And, I can play the drums. I'm not super experienced by any means, but I went back and I did what I thought the song needed, and it turned out pretty cool. And of course, with Matt's guidance, you hear that kind of hits on the floor tom, which kind of sound like cannon fire, and it's almost kind of got a wartime march or kind of sense of the times wrapped up in it. And it would not be what it is without the Charlie Chaplin audio excerpt from The Great Dictator, and that's a whole story in itself. But I was listening back to the track, or we had just we had just got the meat and potatoes of the track done in the studio. And I sent Matt a link to The Great Dictator speech. And I was like, what if we took some parts of this? And, because what he was saying was so in line, with what we were feeling in early 2020, coming up on, the last year of Trump and the last, and just things were bubbling under the surface. We obviously had not seen the riots and the and the protests, and really just the desire for strong social change yet, because we were still in the winter time of 2020, but it was all bubbling under the surface. I remember feeling it, but like, it was like you almost couldn't put your finger on it. And then of course, bam, everything kind of happened at once. But the track was done, and I sent that to Matt, that audio or that video of Charlie Chaplin talking. And for anyone that's curious about what the hell I'm talking about, just Google or YouTube The Great Dictator. Charlie Chaplin will also do. It came out in 1940. It just turned 80 years old. And the movie is a big punch in the face to Hitler and dictators in general, and fascism and government control and stifling of the people. There's a lot of different themes. There's also like a little bit of a love story involved, and friendship and everything. And anyway, and Charlie Chaplin is just a phenomenal actor and just entrepreneur in general. But anyway, so I love that scene. I love that speech, and I sent it to Matt, and we just, we're like, let's try it. We chopped it up, but not even that much. We just took like one or two parts, and we like just went like this, and they lined up to where like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, because I remember sitting there being like, dude, that's it. Like that sounds like it needed to be there. Like this is the cherry on top. This is the icing on the cake, whatever. Like this is like this is what's going to really tie it together. Mm-hmm. And before that, all these songs, and the lyrics, we started to realize had a really, I always kind of knew it, but we were becoming more and more reminded that this album, Everyone Everywhere, is about what's going on right now in this country and on this planet, whether it be, like in our hearts or in our minds or soul, whatever. It's very much so driven by what we're experiencing every day as human beings. And so it made sense to put something that was definitely politically driven, but it was also talking about matters of the heart and human nature. It wasn't all just about, like it's not about pick a side, or anything like that. And I want to stress that to the people that have listened to this album and or in any way picked up on the fact that, some of my songs do talk about what's going on as far as politics and, social change and justice and everything like that. I don't want to alienate anybody, but at the same time, I can't not talk about things. And I hope to do it in a way where it's not polarizing to one group or demographic of people,
right. And you're talking, you're not even like, I hear you clearly criticizing Trump. Like I've never heard you say anything about Trump followers or people who vote for him, or even even don't like him, but also don't agree with you. You're talking about how you feel about this one situation, and
really the person too. I mean, like when it comes down to the group of people, I know plenty of people that voted for Trump that I love and I think are nice people. Like I don't agree with people that are like, if you voted for Trump, get off my Facebook wall. For one, what the hell is that going to do?
Yeah.
Like, that's just going to make them even more angry and isolated. And feel like they're kicked out. And I don't even really want to talk too much about the guy, because like it's great that we're not seeing him in the news anymore. Right. And I really do think that people are reevaluating what the hell has been going on,
right? Yeah.
In this country. And I think that people are definitely coming together a lot more and want to really work together more than ever. So I won't go too deep, but I will say that, like it, to me, I had, not talked about, the current state of things for so long, but anyone that was ever surprised by us supporting Black Lives Matter, our current president, Joe Biden, or anybody that wanted progressive, genuine change that would benefit everyone, not one side, not one group, not one demographic, whatever, everyone. If anyone had a problem with that during, the release of this album or me talking about the album, I'm sorry, but like, this is the way it is, and like, we actually got a really hateful message from somebody for supporting Black Lives Matter, and like it broke my heart. It broke my heart that somebody who called themselves a fan, and like, P.S., if you're a fan and you have a problem with us talking about what's going on in the world, probably not a fan.
Yeah.
But I was blown away that somebody would get so worked up about us wanting to support something that, you know, like wanted like the best for people. And, you know, of course it comes down to the whole argument of like, you know, do you, Black Lives Matter, is that, you know, like some people immediately think of people rioting, you know, and some people think of protests, you know, peace. And there's so many different perceptions of it that, you know, somebody is going to get offended, you know? Well, like it comes down to how are you talking to people too? You know what I mean? Like I responded to the person that gave us a hateful message about supporting BLM, a very nice message back. I gave him a very loving message back where I know a lot of people wouldn't have, but I did, because he called himself a fan, and I didn't really want to. And like we said at the beginning of this conversation, the last thing I want to do is alienate people, because everyone is, you know, feeling kind of scattered enough. Yeah. But, yeah, point being, I really think the song, you know, it definitely takes a humanistic approach to what's going on. It's not about like, hey, join me way over here, or join me way over here, or join me in the middle. It's about being like, hey, this is what's going on, and this is a message that I think that everybody can get behind, and something that will help for the, you know, the better of humanity, and not just one faction or whatever, you know. And yeah, I definitely remember being a little hesitant, you know, to like talk about these kind of things, but you know, artists and bands that stick around and, you know, really stick around for decades, they're not afraid to talk about what they feel is right, you know. Right. And at the end of the day, you know, like time will tell, you know, and I feel like the best of people will be captured, and that will push on over any kind of hatred or any kind of racism on any level, you know, like all that is not going to push on. Love and compassion is going to push on. And I really hope I, you know, didn't offend people by, you know, having our latest album become, you know, partly political, but at the same time, like I said, it's got to be talked about. If we don't talk about it, then we're sitting on the sidelines. And I think any good artist, any good music, any good band talks about what's going on in their world, and also knows how to relate it. Not just be like, this is political. This is also a matter of the heart and the soul, you know, because that's where everything comes from.
And sometimes it's just the beginning of a conversation where you're saying through your music, here's what I think. And just like that guy did with you, he told you what he thought, and then you replied, well, here's what I think of, you know, you're just starting that conversation.
Yeah. And I'm not big into, you know, writing people off for their beliefs. But at the same time, like if you're a bigot, or if you're, you know, if you're trying to spread fear and you're trying to spread hatred, I don't get it. Right. It's that simple. I don't get it. Like that's not my world. And, so yeah, Fear Mongers is about really just coming together and realizing that together we're stronger. And, you know, it was written around the time we saw a lot of horrible things on the news, and it's a song for the times. Let's just put it like that. And I hope people enjoy it, because we put a lot of work into it, and getting Charlie Chaplin's voice on there, which again, I urge people to check it out. And I had to get a license from his estate in Paris just to use it. Fun fact, I didn't know that you had to do things like that. Well, actually, like when it comes to audio samples and like using other people's like music, you know, like that to me was like, well, duh, you got to get a license for that. But I didn't know for sure if we had to contact his estate or his kids about using an audio excerpt from the movie, The Great Dictator. And again, I urge people to listen to it, because that song has taken on a life of its own, and it's magical the way that his voice, my voice, and the music works together. And I was telling someone the other day, it's like if I stopped recording music tomorrow, that's the song that I would want people to remember.
And not only did his estate let you use it, but also, I mean, they like put it on their playlist from the estate.
They did, yeah. They were supportive. They were good to work with. They were super professional, and I had no idea that like Coldplay and Paolo Nutini and there's one other artist. It's on that playlist. That artists like that had also gone through them to do something similar, either in a live setting or on a record. Oh, yeah. So it was a really educational experience. Meaning, like I spent a good month and a half. It seemed like. Maybe longer, communicating with the office in Paris, and there's like a time difference and everything. I had to like schedule emails and stuff like that and make sure that like we were kind of going back at the same time. And anyway, they have a couple copies of the album, and just getting their blessing was really nice, and being able to do business with the official rights holders of his his voice, his legacy, his image, all that was a pretty powerful thing. And hopefully as time goes on, it'll become even more powerful, because like I said, 80 years that movie's been out, 80 years, and we're still seeing how it's relevant. So it might stay that way forever.
Okay, just a huge thanks to Andrew for being on the podcast, and thanks for sending the live tracks from the live EP that's out now called Live from a Distance. Again, go to any of the streaming sites, search Andrew Scotchie and the River Rats, or go to andrewscotchiemusic.com for the new live EP and also for the back catalog. A lot of really good stuff there. The last two songs are obviously studio tracks, as we talked about, so you'll be able to get those there as well. Also, make sure to check out Andrew's live dates. As we mentioned, he's playing at the Coda Festival coming up and also at the Orange Peel, but I'm sure by the time this comes out, there'll be even more dates for you to catch Andrew with the River Rats solo and with his duo act called Kind, Clean Gentlemen. Make sure to check his social media for that. Also, one more time, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Where did you get this podcast? Just, backtrack from there and subscribe at that place. Unless somebody sent it to you just on a CD or something, then let me know about that, because I'm just curious. Closing song this week comes from the Pinkerton Raid. This is a band out of New England, my hometown, headed by songwriter Jesse DeConto. They have performed at Daytrotter and been written up in American Songwriter, Spill Magazine, Glide Magazine, and a bunch more places. You can find them at pinkertonraid.com. Also, links in the show notes for other places to find them. Don't forget to go get that Andrew Scotchie album. Have a good week.
Shot. Tick-tock goes the cosmic clock. You only live, only love, only live what you want. Breathe deep, the air intoxicates. You take it by the bottle, flip a nigga, double down, cash, chip, scatter gold, suck the marrow from the bone.
It's a beautiful thing.